What's happening, everybody? Happy Sunday. This is Adi coming back to you from Gate 7 International, and I'm joined today by Kostas Lianos, or Kostas with a K. Some of you know him that way. And, of course, Dimitri, formerly known as the Pope, back when he was having mic problems. Boys, how we doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you, Adi?
Can't complain. Can't complain too much. I'm excited. The season's getting ready to start. Can't ask for more. Kostas K?
I'm great, but it kind of feels a little boring now without all those qualifiers, doesn't it? I mean, the fact that the Olympiacos are straight into Europe and we don't have to worry about anything, it seems kind of slow, doesn't it?
Listen,
no boring.
I've only had to do like 4 deep dives, so I'm happy. I'm fine, man. No more.
That's
30
slow
deep
for you.
dives in a
That's
summer.
slow for you. Yeah, that is a good summer for you.
Costa, in 1 month's time, you're gonna be literally begging to go back to now where you're not stressing about games. In 1 month's time, you're going to be like, oh my God, this team is going to be the death of me when we win, like with last minute goals and stuff like that. So I'd say don't count your chickens just yet, mate. Like enjoy the moment.
And so what are the bad news then, Dimitri?
There's no bad news. Oh,
I mean, you sound too confident. I don't know.
I'm just saying that I like. You were saying that it's boring. I'm saying I like the fact that we don't have to stress, that we don't have to worry about beating some team that no one's heard of, because otherwise our season's going to be a write-off before it even starts. I'm glad we don't have to worry about that. Like, I'm glad that all the other teams have to worry about playing some team in the middle of the earth in Azerbaijan, and we're literally still just doing our preseason as normal. That's all I want, and I'm enjoying it.
I feel you, but this is a really good preseason, and it's been a very long time since I've seen a preseason like this, and we're going to cover all those aspects. I mean, we had 2 really good friendlies, but you know what? First things first, right, Adi?
Adi, you're on mute, bro.
I caught it right as I was talking. Amateur. But before we get started, there's plenty of stuff we can talk about today. Don't forget, for those of you that are tuning in, we've got a little over 50 of you that have tuned in so far, some of which are coming in on X. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you are here. If you're listening on audio and you're listening on whether it's going to be Spotify or one of those other audio podcast platforms, consider giving us a 5-star review. Every engagement helps us find more red and white fans. The project is growing. It is moving to heights we never thought were possible when we first started this thing. We're marching towards 10,000 on Instagram. We broke 5K on YouTube. I think it was less than a month ago. So all really good signs. Yep. All the platforms are pushing. So we're really excited about all of that. And we have some very exciting things coming up, guys. So keep an eye on social media this week and next week. We have some very important announcements that will be coming out. Very big things that are happening, and because we're growing and because people are taking notice of not just this project, but Olympiacos. So keep an eye on that. There's some very exciting things coming up. Now, for those of you that are on Patreon, you know some of what's coming. You can always join the Patreon group where we share some information that we don't always share on social media. There's also extra content available. We actually have some fun stuff coming out on Patreon. I'm in the middle of editing a finance video for a lot of the patrons that were confused about the way finance works in football. So we're doing a little video about how transfers work. So I'm editing that now, and that'll go up this week. And this month, we will have an interview with a CEO of one of the top flight clubs in the Super League. So very exciting interview that will be available on Patreon. You can access that if you're a part of the content tier. So we're really excited about that. Always looking to give you guys the best content. And while we're at it, we would also like to thank our newest patron, Dimitris Irmidziadis. Thank you, Dimitri, for joining. We are growing this Patreon community. I look at the WhatsApp chat now for the Patreon community, and there's like so many people. I remember when it started off with like a dozen people. It's insanity.
Bro, can I just interrupt? I'm really sorry, but Dimitri and I are friends.
No way.
And I didn't clock one of his mates. About 2 months ago, I was at a wedding. I was at his sister's wedding.
You're kidding me.
And I was talking to one of his mates about Gate 7 International, because Dimitri and I are friends, and we know about Olympiacos, and I met one of his friends, and he's an Olympiacos, and we were talking about, it was like a week after the Conference League final. I didn't know he joined Patreon. You just said the name, and that's mad. I'm going to text him. Like, I'm going to text him right now and be like, what the hell, jump.
Yesterday.
I don't know if he's watching right now, but I'm going to be like, bro, watch the show. This is crazy.
That's amazing.
What I'm gonna say to your mutual friend is that the thing about Patreon as well is that the WhatsApp we have about Patreon allows us to say things we can never say on social media and YouTube about the club, and more specifically about Paraskinio in the Greek Super League. So, guys, I mean, if you're watching this and you want to hear more about Olympiacos and Greek football in general, you gotta join our Patreon group, because that's the only place where we can talk about those things, where we can say, and there's going to be full freedom of speech right there.
And it's very entertaining at the very least. I mean, there's all sorts of absurd discussions, which I cannot believe are broached. You might see some weird cooking videos from Martial. People that put way too much sugar in their coffee. That's for sure.
Oh my God! Only maniacs put that sugar on their coffee.
So
only maniacs do that.
I've learned a lot about a lot of people. We'll put it that way. And the person that puts a lot of sugar in his coffee, his name is Gerasimos. So if you want to see what it looks like to have somebody that not only drinks like a Dunkin' mochaccino, but he puts 6 sugars in it too.
Jesus, no one does that.
And in more serious matters, the Patreon group also helps each other both with tickets and information about Olympiacos. Yes. Like if someone has a spare, or if someone knows something, or if you need some information about Olympiacos or something, or Greece, or like it's a great little hub where it's you bounce off each other, and also meetings as well. I missed it because I landed quite late on the Tuesday night before the Conference League final, but a few people met up on Tuesday night, the day before the Conference League final in Athens. So there's all of that going on. So it's a great little group.
It really is. And there's people already scheduling to meet up with each other, like different trips. So that part of it's really cool. The community is fantastic. So consider joining. Consider Stefano Gerasimos alone is worth the WhatsApp group. Too much, guys. Too much. But anyway, now that we're done talking about the WhatsApp group, boys, let's talk about what we saw in the last 2 friendlies. So since the last live show, there's been 2 friendlies. The club went to Italy. They played against Serie Seaside Ternana, who is coached by Ignazio Abate, who coached the AC Milan youth team that got whooped by our U19s in the youth league. So anyway, just thought I'd include that context in there. So we played against that side, and then we played against AS Roma, which is a very competitive side. They made some very nice signings. And for those of you that may not remember, our former general director, Lina Suluku, friend of the show, is their CEO. Incredible woman, very smart, very driven, very ambitious. She's an incredible woman, and they built a great project there. So we got a really good chance to see what our team has done so far in preseason. And guys, really quick, your early thoughts. What did you think of those friendlies? What were you happy with? Let's start with what you were happy with. What did you like that you saw in those friendlies? Costa K, you get started.
No, I to be honest with you, I was only happy with those friendlies because I covered them for the podcast, and like I said, I told Dimitris that I cannot remember a preseason which I'm more content with, because those 2 friendlies, they just really highlighted a successful transfer policy, and also the youth. We saw Koutsidis getting on the score sheet. We saw Papacanelos getting on the score sheet. Mouzakitis picked up an assist. Roman Yaremchuk picked up an assist. Christopher Velde, in only 2 games, he counts a goal, an assist, a penalty won, and a shot against the post. I mean, when you're a fan of a club who has made so many signings, a club that has invested so much in youth, when you see that investment paying off so quickly, albeit in a friendly, remember, it's just a preseason friendly, the signs are so good. I've never seen Olympiacos highlighting investment in youth like this, or highlighting transfer signings like this. Obviously, in the season, during a season, we've seen it. Everything can go wrong. Everything can then turn around and become great. I mean, we saw it last season, in the weirdest season of our lifetimes, at least. But so far, so very good. And more importantly, if we exclude all of that, Olympiacos are so well adapted to Jose Luis Mendilibar's high press. The high press is so good. All the players have really adapted to this. They've all learned it. There's an identity, there's a style. Sure, it's not the old Olympiacos where they played possession-based football, where it was all about scoring, all about dominating. But my God, there is a style, there's an identity, there's a tactic, there's a strategy. And I'm really, the transfer policy is not yet over. We're going to have at least 2 more players come in, hopefully Horta and Podence, which we're going to cover. There's going to be another center back. And Ari, we talked about it, and we're going to cover this later on. Hopefully there's going to be a number 6 as well. So far, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. What do you think, Dimitri?
I'm gonna carry on from where you just left off. Smooth transition. But regarding the press, I know that Ari and Costa talked about it last week on the show. Costa, the other Costa with a C, and you were saying that Costa, that we're not necessarily no longer the team that sort of relies on possession football and trying to just dominate and just pummel our opposition, but in a way we are going to see that against the lower strength opposition teams in the Super League. We can't be. I don't think we're going to play the same way against the Volos and the Astera Tripolis and the Levadiakos and the Verias. We can't, because they're not good enough. And if we don't have the possession, that game is going to be a 0-0 and no one's going to move the ball. But having that press is not necessarily just something that we're seeing this pre-season. It's something that I think Mendilibar brought in from the first moment he came, and the team very quickly picked it up. I know now that obviously they're improving it because now it's a proper pre-season with him. They have the time and they're all part of one group. He knows how to mold them now because it's his team. It's his summer. But when he came in, it was incredible how quickly he managed to get them on board to do this. I mean, if you remember some of the big European games, Villa away absolutely demolished them without press. Like 2 of our goals were from their mistakes. Fenerbahce at home, again, like our press was really, really strong. And this is the sort of thing that I personally, as a fan, really like to see. I like that style of play. It's a sort of style of play that Jurgen Klopp brought into Liverpool when he first came in and was really successful with. And it's energetic and it's disciplined and the teamwork. Everyone moves as one unit. I love it, and it's not something that we're used to in Greek football. So I'm very, very pleased that this is something that Mendilibar is continuing and pushing forward and actually developing even further. And I think we're going to see really big things from it this year. In general, when it comes down to the preseason, I just want to mention something. When Ari was talking about Roma, they are one of the biggest teams in Europe historically, right? They're one of the biggest teams in Italy, and Italy is one of the biggest leagues in Europe. Like they're a fantastic side. So for us to draw 1-1 and seem quite comfortable, I didn't watch the game. I watched the highlights, and I saw the stats, but it doesn't look like we were ever in a position where we scraped the 1-1 draw. It seemed like we were very equal and deserved what we got. It's very beautiful to see that. I know it's a friendly and it doesn't mean anything, but it's still the summer, and you're seeing a team go toe to toe against one of theoretically biggest teams in Europe. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm very pleased with the signings making an instant impact, because as we all know, we've had years upon years where we've made signings and we're like, he's a coat, get him out. And the memes are coming and the skateboards are coming out and stuff like that. So it's nice to see players instantly just go, whoop, yes. I'm in, hit the ground running. So all in all, beautiful. And it goes back to my point right at the start. Right at the start, I'm so relaxed and I love it. I bloody love it. This is what I need. It's good for our health. It's good for both our mental health and our physical health, because as Olympiacos fans, we're used to stress, right? Both in football and basketball, this team teaches us the stressful ways. So it's good to have a summer where things look like they're under control and the adults are in charge and things look like they're going correctly. So fingers crossed. Let's see.
Building off of that, Dimitri, Roma isn't just a really big name in European football. They've had a lot of recent success on the European stage. Two years, or I guess it's 3 years ago now, they won the Conference League with Jose Mourinho. They then went to the Europa League final, where they lost to Jose Luis Mendilibar and Sevilla in the final. Then last season, they lost in the semifinals to Bayer Leverkusen, who was on an undefeated streak until the final. So they are a good team, and they have made 4 really good signings so far. And I mean, I don't know if you guys watched or paid attention to Matias Soulé. He looks good. I mean, he is a solid player. They have some quality players on that team. They just signed Dovbyk from, I think he was playing for Girona. He was like the leading scorer. Dovbyk.
Very good player. Yeah.
Very good player. He also, I mean, he looks pretty good too. I mean, seeing what we saw, and don't forget, guys, our midfield, which is one of the most important pieces of the press, not just with Chiquinho getting forward, but the 2 deeper midfielders are the ones that lay the traps in the press. And they have a really important role. None of our starting midfielders are here. Well, he was at the Olympics. He's done now. Where Stamenic is hurt, Garcia's hurt, Doi is playing center mid, and we had Bakulas playing.
6.
So we had 2 guys that will not be featuring as starters, even though Bakulas, I'm sure, will be playing a role moving forward. But hopefully. And it looks this cohesive. That's the part that I am so happy with. The youngsters look good in the press. They look solid. They have assimilated perfectly into it. And that's the stuff that's important to me. I don't care so much about the results. As far as I'm concerned, this is a friendly we probably should have won with the number of opportunities we made. We missed a lot of chances, but I love the movement. I loved what I saw, especially with the press. Even though there were some people that were a little disappointed with Costulas, the finishing, sure, he had some issues finishing, but I am happy that he is fighting physically and competitively at 17 years old with Serie A defenders, and some damn good ones too. That is the important part to me. He's getting in scoring positions. This guy, poor Costulas, was getting hounded by them. And the fact that he was able to fight and gain ground by himself at 17 years old, if you did not notice that, you really missed something. That's the stuff that I was happy about. And I've continued to be happy about because it's been consistent so far in these friendlies. Sure, against Ternana, it's a Serie C side, but you want to see the continuity and you want to see that there is an identity. Let's not forget last season and the season before when we had absolutely no idea what the hell our identity was. We were watching these friendlies like, what is this? What is happening here? And for the first time, like Dimitri said, this is probably the calmest I felt because I'm watching a team that actually looks like a team, has a philosophy and a strategy. Even if it may not be what we want in a perfect world, it is functional, it is sustainable, and well, we'll get into the sustainability part, but it's better than we've seen in the last few years. So that part makes me happy. Now, it could all go to shit. We're not saying that this is 100% going to work out, but this is the best sign we've had in a preseason in a very long time.
Very long time.
Can I just say something quickly? Ari,
go ahead.
I know you're talking about how much Costulas fought and how happy you are to see that. I'm just going to go even more basic and say how happy I am to watch kids play. Kids from the academies, from the B team, for like even if they don't have the best game in the world, I'm just glad they're being used, man. Like put them in. That's how they're going to get better. You got to give them their chances. And I'm really glad that we have a manager now. Not saying that everyone in the past was bad at this, but it looks like from this moment in time, Mendilibar is further ahead than others were when it comes down to using them, right? And he's giving them that belief and trust that they can do this. You guys were talking about this on the podcast last week about Muzakidis, and now Costa thinks that he's going to be starting at the start of the season for us. And it's like, it makes me so proud and so happy, because it goes back to all the stuff that we were saying last year and why I'm such a fan of players like Masouras, and why I'm so happy that he's renewed. Players, Greek players, and especially Greek players from the academy, not always, but in my opinion, most of the time, tend to play with an extra passion, with an extra oomph, because it means more to them. And having these players in the team, I think, lifts up everyone else to sort of grab the game by the balls and just go for it a bit more, because they've got that behind them where they go out with their chests up and they're like, come on, let's do this. So that's a very basic point that I really like.
Well, I said it in the last show or the show before that I have a feeling about Babis Kostulas this season. I would not be surprised if he becomes the starting striker this season. Of course, we haven't seen Ayub El Kabi yet. Roman Yaremchuk is just starting, and Aris made some excellent points about the last few years being really tough on him because of the war in Ukraine, the illegal invasion of Russia in Ukraine. I have a feeling about Babis Kostulas. I do not be surprised if he breaks out as our starting striker. This kid is special, and we've heard it from people at Olympiacos saying that this is the kind of striker that would easily start in a league like the Championnat. I still have a very good feeling about Babis coming ahead of the season.
Yeah, as do I, and I don't think we'll touch on the transfers and more on the youngsters specifically in a little bit, but I don't think that there's that much more you can ask for with regards to what we've seen. Now, just because we're happy with the things that we've seen doesn't mean that there's things that don't worry us. So we started off with the things that we liked. What are some things that maybe you don't like so far and that or maybe worry you so far with the preseason? This time, Dimitri, we'll start with you.
What was me so far, not necessarily with the style of play, because as I said, I don't have the complete picture that you guys do, having not watched the games in full and having watched them via highlights and stats. It's not necessarily anything to do with style of play, because I do think it's what I said earlier, that we're in a better position than I've ever seen us preseason wise. It's more of some of the key positions and personnel that we had in that Conference League run. It's not necessarily, it is a transfer issue, but it's also like them. I just want to replicate it. I want to find a way that we can replicate what we had towards the end of last year, and without either the personnel that we had or players that fit that description, I'm a little bit worried that we're not going to push on from there, because this is such a great platform to sort of move on. We shouldn't stay stagnant and gone, oh, we've won the Conference League, we're champions of Europe, we're the best team in Greece. Like I'm going to say, I still say we're champions of Europe. Like I say this to people, and people like get pissed off at me. And it's like, I don't care if it was the Conference League. Like Real Madrid, Atalanta, and Olympiacos, champions of Europe, mate. Us and Real Madrid were the same. I don't know what you're talking about. It's stuff like that. So, but at the same time, I don't want us to just stay static and stay there. I want us to build on from this, because this is a great platform. This is how players like Yaremchuk, that have a pedigree of big teams behind them, choose teams like Olympiacos. And players don't go, actually, I don't want to go to like a bottom team in Serie A or La Liga or the Prem, because I actually might have a really good opportunity at some European glory here. This is the sort of thing that we need. So I just want to make sure that when we kick on the season, we're at least where we were before, when it comes down to not necessarily the personnel, but the players that can fit what Mendilibar wants and play that way, if that makes sense. Play with the press and and attack and defend the way that he wants it to work.
Costa, what has worried or maybe disappointed you so far in the friendlies?
Well, hello, Vragisco. Obviously, overall, I'm happy with what I'm seeing. But obviously, David Carmo's exit and Kostas Fortounis' exit do bring cause for some concern, because Carmo was by far our best defender last season. And so far, we haven't seen really anyone stepping up. Like I said, we're definitely going to get another center back. Pirola, I think, is a left-footed center back, and we're getting a right-footed center back, or it's the other way around. When it comes to Fortounis, I'm really worried about the lack of a talking point, a point of reference in the team. I mean, his leadership qualities have been questioned in this podcast. I never really doubted them, because he can't talk like the president of the United States on Independence Day doesn't mean that he still didn't know how to get his teammates going. So I am worried about this lack of a point of reference, the lack of a star, if that makes sense, like the best player, as we said, because like it or hate it, guys, since 2015, the best Greek player in the world was Kostas Fortounis. Right now, to prove to you that I am always trying to be objective, at least, right now, this spot is going to go to either Christos Zolis or Yannis Kostadelias. But between 2015 and 2024, the best Greek player in the world was Kostas Fortounis. So I am worried about that little part. And Ari, we had that bit of a debate at WhatsApp, and we had a bit of a debate before we went live. I am worried about the number 6 position, and I'll tell you exactly why. Santiago Eze is not exactly your average number 6. He's more of a box-to-box. Andre Horta, not really a number 6. Dani Garcia is more of a number 8 than he is a number 6. Marko Stamenic is our only number 6, and he's injured already. He's missing a great deal of preseason, just like Garcia is. And Stamenic is also on loan from Nottingham Forest. So if he has a great season at Olympiacos, I imagine Forest will want him back next summer. We have Fanis Bakoulas, but he's only 19 years old, and asking him to become the starter at this point is probably asking too much. Even if Stamenic does return from injury, if he does get injured again, then Olympiacos have no number 6 for the rest of the season, really, for the reasons that I just mentioned. There's no mention of Mason Holzgrove playing any part this season because he's injured, and we don't know when he's coming back from that injury, and literally no one's talking about Holzgrove. So in my opinion, Olympiacos need to go and get a number 6. And I'm going to throw this out to the universe. I think Olympiacos need to go for Manolis Siopis, and I'll tell you why I think they need to go for Siopis. A, he's Greek. He knows all about Olympiacos. He can become a great personality in the locker room. He can become a talking point, a point of reference. B, he told Betarades that despite all the drama that transpired in his first stint, he's still open to return. He's at Cardiff City. He played 42 times last season, 42 appearances last season, mostly as a starter. And there's absolutely no indication showing that Cardiff will be coming back to the Premier League anytime soon. So playing for Olympiacos at the Europa League and gunning for a Champions League spot next season is 10 times more attractive. His contract comes up in 2026, so this is realistically Cardiff's last chance to get a good price for a 30-year-old, because next summer they're not going to get good bids, because this is a 30-year-old who never really played at elite football. So I think Olympiacos need to go for Manolis Siopis, because they're going to need a number 6. They're going to need a number 6 who's going to stay in the club, who's definitely going to be around for next summer, who knows Olympiacos, who understands Olympiacos. Dimitri, you talked about the Greek factor that Olympiacos need. So, yeah, the number 6 position does worry me heading to this season, because Eze is not the kind of player like Jan Villa and Guilherme who starts the game at the back. We're playing high press, so we need someone at the hole to be there in case we lose the ball and the opposing team gets on the counterattack, especially in Europe. So, yeah, number 6 is an area that I'm worried. And I'm worried that we're not hearing about Olympiacos targeting number 6s.
Can I just say 3 points to follow up on what Costa said? Just quickly. The number 6 situation, I agree. I think Iborra is going to be a huge miss in my opinion. Even though when he first came, I wasn't happy with him. The way that you just described, what we need, someone starting from the back to break up that play, is exactly what Iborra was towards the end of the season. And the amount of thanks I gave him in that final and towards the end of the season was insane. The other thing I want to touch on is Siopis quickly. Everything that you said, completely agree. And regarding the championship, it is the hardest league in the world. If someone's played 42 games as a starter, they have what in Greek we call tsagano. Like he's got balls, he's got heart, he can do it. And if he can do it, I reckon if you can do it in the championship and you can do it successfully in the championship, I think you can succeed anywhere. So that's another plus on his side. And one last thing regarding Fortounis, he might still be the best player, might still be the best Greek player playing, because didn't his transfer fall through to Saudi Arabia? So
we should clear that up. I spoke to somebody that is very familiar with the Saudi football environment, and right now there is nothing that indicates that the deal has fallen through, at least yet. Okay. There's nothing official. I know that because of how long it has taken him to sign, there's a lot of people that think that something's wrong. But there were some details I was given about, I guess, how the transfers have to be done, and like what the law is with Saudi Arabia with certain things, like for instance, like cohabitation versus like married couples living in Saudi Arabia, what can and cannot be done. There's a lot of different laws in Saudi Arabia. So all of this can hold up deals as they figure out how they can get this stuff to work. But from what we were told, there's nothing official that indicated the deal has fallen through. That's not to say it hasn't, but I think that there's the stir because it's taken him so long to sign a deal. And if it does fall through, I'm not against bringing him back, because my concern, which is in a way similar to what you guys have discussed with respect to Fortounis, is the lack of creativity in that first half against Roma. I mean, here we are, we're dominant in the press, we're getting the ball into the final third, but like we can't do anything with it. Where the ball's getting fumbled, we're not really able to do much and penetrate the penalty area. And that's why you need some of these creative players. I said this in a previous show as well. When you have when you have a match, right? Not every match we're going to be running through people. There's going to be ugly. Every season it's like this. We're going to play against the Calitheas of the world, the Lamias of the world. They will park people behind the ball. You need somebody that can do something or in a stalemate of a game or a really difficult game, that you can get something more or less from nothing. That was Kostas Fortounis. That was Andre Horta. That was Daniel Podence. We have none of those players right now. So I'm happy in many respects with how the squad is, but I would feel better if we could at least get back the likes of Horta and Podence. We get those two back. I'm happy with the creative capability, plus with what we've seen from Veld so far. I think we have a creative ability. With regards to the 6 discussion, I think since we have to take into account what Mendilibar wants for this roster. He wants a 23-man roster. As it stands with the players that we're playing with and what you saw against AS Roma and Ternana, we have 27 players on the roster. He wants 23 field players. The 27 includes 3 goalkeepers. We have 24 field players right now, including the youth, the U19. So that's 5 of them. We know that he said that he wants to keep more than 1. It sounds like he's going to keep 3, but it's not confirmed. He may want to keep all 5 of them. But if we're bringing in Horta and Podence, then we have to free up some spaces if he wants a 23-man roster. Which 2, he's going to end up having to cut at least 1 kid. So probably 2. I'm expecting we're going to keep 3, right? So for me, the 3 that I would keep at this point, depending on sales, assuming we make no sales, the 3 that I would end up keeping as it stands would be Kostulas, given. We know from the Karapapas interview that he's going to be third striker. Easy. Mouzakitis, with the performances in the friendly, you cannot leave him. And then the game against Roma yesterday, Theofanis Bakoulas made his case yesterday. Fatmob had him as man of the match. He was probably, for me, one of the best players on the field. Amazing. And as it stands, when you look at where our holes are, if we're not going to sign anybody new, those are the three I keep. We already have 5 defenders, including Doi. Is Gotsidis going to ride the bench? No. As a 6th defender, I doubt it. Papacanelos, to me, is not ready yet. I'd love it if they keep him on the team, but if I had to pick a player to go, he's the one that's probably going to go. So then the discussion becomes, all right, so we keep those 3 players. Now we're down to 22 on the roster. If we're bringing Podence and Horta back, we have to get rid of somebody to keep to that 23 number Mendilibar wants. Who else do you get rid of? Do you sell Doi? Pep Biel, who in my opinion has not flattered. He had some nice moments yesterday, but I wasn't impressed overall. I saw the same thing I've seen from him in the last 2 weeks, the context for success and lack thereof. So if you sell both of those, you make room. Maybe you can bring on Gutsidis again, but then is there room for another 6? Costa has talked about we want to bring a veteran center back, which I think we do need a veteran presence.
I don't know if it's a veteran, but they are going to go for center back. Yeah,
right.
They're
so
definitely going to go for center back.
That then tells me that there's no way that Gutsidis gets rostered. And the way I see it now, Doi, thanks for everything, but I think he gets sold. And then I'm looking. The way I see it now, I have a suspicion that we will probably see BL move on to. Just how I'm looking at things.
Doi and Biel are very good shouts to sell. I mean, do Olympiacos need them, or are they?
Where is Doi
can they
gonna
turn
go?
it around? Sorry,
Where is Doi going to go though? Who's going to take him?
we sold Ole Kreabjuk. I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah, but Hampton scored against
Agi Bukamara
Panathinaikos
just
and
went to
lost them the league.
Ludogorets. You'll find a place for Doi. Come on, he's not a look.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's a Greek centre back / defensive midfielder who's a little bit prone to penalties / red cards, who's had his moments for Olympiacos, but hasn't really shown anything to anyone else. So he's not foreign. No one's really seen him. He's not like a Reabchuk or Kamara who's played elsewhere. People have seen him. He's sort of in this Olympiacos bubble. So who has actually seen him? Who wants him outside of Greece? He wouldn't go anywhere else in Greece because the money he's making at Olympiacos. Surely he wouldn't go to someone smaller in Greece. Plus, he thinks he can go.
I wouldn't
better.
assume he's making good money, man. He was on an academy contract, and it was only a year and a half ago that he was promoted to the Olympiacos first team. Michel was the one that promoted Doi. So he's only spent a season and a half with the Olympiacos. He's 21. He's very young still, guys. Like, this isn't like a washed player. He's 21 years old. He has versatility. If the preseason has showed anybody anything, you have a center back and a defensive mid. And in the modern game, versatility is extremely important for players. So I don't think you would have a problem selling him. And quite frankly, he looked actually decent against Roma. But I don't think you have a problem selling him. If we have to make room here. This is just what the workshopping I'm doing if we have to make space. Because I don't think Apostolopoulos is going to make the cut. I think we end up bringing another left back. But if you move one out, you bring another in, that doesn't affect.
Where's Apostolopoulos going to go? Could he? What would happen to him though? Because he's
loan, I guess. I mean, I think he's in like 20.
This man played in the in the Conference League final. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I hear you, but like,
there's also this guy. There's also this guy.
Oh, you got to be kidding! I honestly, I've forgotten he exists.
That's obviously a dig for Labro, Dimitri.
No, I know, but like, it's just.
But I don't. I'm going to be honest, and maybe like I don't disagree with you.
Thank you, Bilaco. Thank you, Bilaco.
But I think I don't know. From what I've seen of Apostolopoulos in the friendlies, I have a suspicion if Forest do not sell Toffolo, because we know they want to move Toffolo on. If they don't sell Harry Toffolo, I have a suspicion that Omar Richards comes back, because right now he's third choice. So I have a suspicion Omar Richards could end up back here on another loan. But
And
anyway,
would he be second choice for us or first choice?
it would be the same thing as with Ortega. They'll compete.
They'll compete, and then Apostolopoulos would be third choice.
Right.
Because
He'll be B-list.
Yeah, but there's no Kini this year, right?
Right.
No,
So, but last year we had those three ahead of him, and he still ended up coming on in the Conference League final.
But Kini's not left back. Kini was our right back.
Yeah, but Kini was playing left back.
Omar was injured.
Yeah, Omar was injured.
Yeah, but Omar was
what's the
injured.
guarantee?
Right.
What's the guarantee that Omar won't be injured? This is what I mean.
Well,
I want him not to be injured because I know he has the potential. I talked to him after the game. He seems like a very decent bloke, and I never hope injuries on anyone or would want that or anything like that. But what's the guarantee that we're not going to have that? And
there is none.
And if we're going with the same roster as last year, and you're telling me, shit, the guy that ended up coming on to sort of at the end of the most crucial game of our lives, if he's gone and we have no one replacing him, then that's, in my opinion, a mistake, personally.
Look, here's the thing. We're not going to see a roster like a 30-man roster that we've seen in the past here.
Yeah.
It's very clear, and Karapapas made that very clear in the interview that that's not happening again. Yeah. So as much as we like some of these guys, they're just
which is good.
Right, it is good, and these are good problems to have. Right, these are good problems to have where we are making decisions about players, all that could offer something. But I'm just what I have seen from Apostolopoulos for me does not. He's 21 years old. I think we should preface with that. I just double checked. I don't see a backup I'd be from the friendlies, at least, that I'd be comfortable starting. I know he started in the UECL final, but from what we've seen in preseason, that's not a left back I'm comfortable with. That's just a preseason. For me, that we have to have somebody else in the left back area to either compete with Ortega or to back him up. That's how I see it personally. And but then the question is, like, who do we move? Right, we're bringing in a center back. So we and if you read the piece from Verveles this morning, we're not really targeting a lot of big names. We're waiting on Horta and Podence to come back. So you bring Horta and Podence back. Who else do you get? Like, what else do you move? Mendilibar doesn't want a big squad. He wants 23 people. Maybe 24. He'll edge it out to. So then what do you do? Who do you move? Biel and Doy, like, you're not moving anybody else. Maybe I know some people want to get rid of Paskalakis, but that doesn't impact the field players that are being rostered. So who else do you move? You're not getting rid of any of our wingers.
Unless there's a big offer for someone like Santiago Eze, for example. But this is something I wanted to touch from 2 shows ago, where we discussed the lack of offers for key players like Eze, and we thought that was surprising. Ayub El Kabi as well. But the thing is, with financial fair play right now, where financial fair play is being implemented, financial fair play has made its presence really known. I look at big clubs like Manchester United right now, where they got Joshua Zirkzee, who didn't set the world alight really with Bologna, and he was definitely not a big player at Bayern Munich. And it seems like that's it. Like Man United are not going to go for another center forward. And we're looking at Jadon Sancho as well at Man United, where they need to make him work. Here's the thing. Because of financial fair play, even the biggest clubs in the world can no longer afford expensive flops. They need their investment to return. They need their most expensive signings to pay off now. And that's what United are doing with Jadon Sancho. So I think that's one of the main reasons why we didn't get any big offers for our big stars, even though they made it to the Europa Conference League final. But that could still happen next season. If Eze has another belter of a season at Olympiacos and make it far in Europe, which is in no way unlikely, in my opinion, then they could come for him. And that goes back to my point about the number 6, how important it is to get a number 6 this season, because Stamenic is on loan. Eze could easily leave next summer. So if that happens, and you might be looking for 2 number 6s next summer. But in general, like a lot of people are saying this, that it is great that Olympiacos are not just splurging anymore, and they're not just doing deals with agents. Obviously, it is quite a long time until until transfer deadline day. In about 10 days, almost less than 2 weeks, the season starts against Volos away as well. So we're going to want to have the roster ready by then. And I mean, I feel like maybe that is a good little push for Andre Horta and Daniel Podence, because guys, this is going to take long. This could take until transfer deadline day. It's going well, don't get me wrong. A few speed bumps, especially with Horta, with Braga now playing difficult negotiators all of a sudden, but this is going to go long. Do we agree on that? Do we expect that?
Yeah, I mean, we have we're waiting on some more information for the transfers, but we know Horta, there was an agreement in place. Even Portuguese media had reported on this, not citing Greek sources, like citing their own sources, that there was a deal. Braga is the one holding this up. This is not new.
Yeah.
This is a very much, I mean, this is a thing that Portuguese clubs have done before. We've been through this with Porto. We've been through this with Portuguese clubs before. This is just something that they do to try to get more money. LAFC, I think it's LAFC, own 50% of Horta's rights. So they're trying to get as much money as they can out of it so that they can get, because they have to split it with LAFC. Then the Podence issue is turning out to be, I swear, every time we talk about Podence, it's like every 2 weeks, there's like new pieces of information we get that change the whole conversation. First, there was no buyout, and then in the Carapapas interview, he told us, I don't bring in any players on loan unless there's a buyout. Then, initially we were told the figure that Wolves were targeting was 5 to 10 million. But now it's starting to sound like, and hopefully we get confirmation and clarity on this tomorrow. It's sounding like Wolves really are not backing down from that 10 million figure. And we'll get some clarity on that tomorrow, but it's going to be difficult. This is going to be very difficult, but we want both of these players. The good thing is, and this was also brought up in that Carapapas interview, so check it out if you haven't already. The players want to come back. Horta's already said he's coming back. He hasn't been included in Braga's friendlies. He hasn't, and same with Podence. Podence wasn't included in the preseason tour. But it sounds like when the Wolves return from their preseason tour in the United States, that the deal will probably end up moving along. And I am feeling pretty good that these deals will move along, especially Podence. Wolves have a lot to lose if they don't make a deal this summer. Podence's contract is up. His contract's up next summer.
Next summer. Absolutely.
If they make a deal, they've got no offers. I can tell you because we've been told this. Wolves have gotten no offers for Daniel Podence except from Saudi Arabia. One offer besides Olympiacos for what they're looking for. So they have a lot more to lose. They're under the gun more than we are. They want to sell, and if they don't sell this summer, we're going to get him on a pre-contract. They don't want that. Which would suck. I mean, it would suck for us not to have him earlier, but at the same time, like, everyone's upset about bringing Danny faster. Like, why is the club going to lose 10 million euros when it doesn't have to? As much as I want Danny back faster, that's just bad business. Now, you could say, like, but he's such an important part of the team. He needs to be brought in faster. And I understand that. But I know from the business perspective, that's how the club's thinking about it. Because they have most of the cards. If Wolves do not sell him and they don't have any offers, which we know, we get him for free. It's that simple. So it's a game of chicken, unfortunately.
Jorge Mendes is going to play a big part in this because of his relationship with Olympiacos, with Podence and Wolves. And that's going to be a huge ally for Olympiacos right there. Right. Podence obviously wants to come back. He doesn't want to stay at Wolves. He didn't join them in the US because he wants to go. Everything is on our side right now, and I couldn't agree more with you about the contract, guys. Like, this is huge because they need the profit, and they're in huge danger of missing out on this. And Dimitri, you have something to say. Sorry to interrupt you, buddy.
No. There's two things I wanted to say. First of all, it goes back to what Costa was saying before Ari started speaking regarding financial fair play. I've got a great suggestion. How about we trade Pep Biel for Jadon Sancho? I think that would be a win-win for United and for us. I'd happily take Jadon Sancho. I'd even say I'd even start him. I think it'd be brilliant for us and it would help his career.
Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, Jadon Sancho.
Where did that come from?
It's
I was
because you
reading
said
a comment, and all of a sudden you're talking about Jadon Sancho being
because you were
swept for
saying
PPL.
you were saying the financial fair play thing and that United are struggling to get rid of him. And I was saying, well, I'll happily take him. They can have PPL. But it was a semi joke. I know that would never happen. But I really rate him. Absolutely hate United as a team.
Would you have him at Liverpool?
Yeah, I'd happily
have him at Liverpool.
Yeah, I'd happily have him.
Nice.
Happily have him.
Okay.
Okay. And the second thing is with what. Yeah, Jadon Sancho's worth half our team value. I reckon he's worth probably all of our team value, mate. Didn't they pay like 70 mil for him? But yeah, no. And my second point is what Adi was saying right at the end about the 10 mil with the buyout clause for Podence. And I'm the other voice. I'm the other side because it's what I was saying before about kicking on from our success last season and not staying stagnant and moving up a gear. You've just won a European trophy. You want to keep improving. You fucking pay that 10 million euros and you fucking get your best player back. Because even if no one else has made an offer and you're playing this game of chicken, like you don't risk it with someone like Podence. We're not talking. This isn't like, Babi Saptoperiptero. This is you're theoretically, especially now that Fortounis is gone, he's your best offensive player, right?
Right.
And we're talking a couple of million difference, right? And for Wolves, 10 million is peanuts in the Prem.
Right.
Just fucking give it to them. Give them 10, give them 9. The difference is so close. Just give them what they want. Get him from this year. Do not risk it because who knows what happens in Jack. Okay, let's say no one signs him this summer. Which would be very surprising. If Olympiacos don't manage to sign him, I reckon he's going to go somewhere. He is. Everyone saw how good he was for us at the end of last season.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's say he doesn't because people don't want to pay or whatever. They're playing a game of chicken. What happens if you lose him to someone else in January? What happens if you lose him to someone else in January? Because Podence might really enjoy playing for Olympiacos. I might really enjoy his life in Athens. But let's say a decent La Liga team comes in for him. Or a team or one of the leading teams in Portugal, like Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, or Porto, and he gets to go back home. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no guarantee. He's a professional player. Because right now he wants to come to us, doesn't mean in 6 months' time he's going to come to us. So I'd take him. Just swallow your pride, pay the money, get him right now. It's different with Horta. Podence is the biggest name on this team. Now that Fortounis is gone, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm sorry that I'm so completely on the other side of that argument than you, Adi. But
no, but there's
what about?
It's understandable, right, to have that. That's it's very risk averse, and I get it. I understand that 100%. But I think maybe part of the reason I'm not freaking out as much is based on the business that we've seen that's happened so far this summer. I believe if the Podence and while I would not be necessarily happy with it, I do believe that the club has somebody else. Like there's names that they have in case it doesn't work out. It would suck in my opinion, but I think I 100% believe that they have some names ready if he doesn't come along before the end of the summer. I believe that.
Guys, first of all, we got like 300 people watching the show and we only have like 36 likes on the video, and that's bullshit. So guys, I mean, this really helps the site. This really helps us build and grow. So it costs you nothing. Please do smash that like button and do subscribe if you haven't done so already. I want to ask Dimitri something, and Ari as well. Everybody, I want to ask everyone. Let's say if Dimitris is right and, it doesn't happen, Wolves stick to their guns, and someone does come in and swoops him, which is, I agree, Dimitri, it's not unlikely. But what about Zelson Martins, you guys? He was injured last season. He was not in Europe, but now in preseason, he is so he is so critical. He is so crucial for the team. He's getting the goals. He looks good on the ball, the runs, the dribbling, the assists. I mean, it would be great if we had a 4-3-3 with Zelson on one side and Daniel Podence on the other side. But even if Podence doesn't come in, don't we already have a replacement in Zelson Martins?
Just like the Omar Richards discussion, how confident are you that you're going to get a full season out of Gelson? Look, I am optimistic. We got a full season out of Retsos when he hasn't had a full season since he left us before. I hope that this would be the case, that we have Gelson for a full season. But the fact of the matter is, this poor guy has been riddled with injuries, and I don't think that that's a guarantee that you can take at face value. But yes, normally yes, I'd say yes.
And it's not that easy to replace an anchor, a barometer of the team like Podence. It's not going to be easy to replace Fortunis. It's not going to be easy to replace Eze from last year. It's not going to be easy to replace Tiquinho. It's not going to be easy to replace El Gabi.
Dimitri, just say it. If Podence comes back, he gets the 7. He's wearing the number 7. Like, what other player gets that jersey?
Of course.
Nobody.
It's more than that. It's Martins could be a fantastic player, Costa, but for someone not just necessarily who's injured, but someone to fill that position, it's not easy. And you see it at the top level. Forget about Olympiacos and the level that we're at. You see it at the top level. You can't replace players that easily that are barometers on their teams. Right. It is what it is, because the style of play suits them, because they click with their teammates, because they click with the fans, because they click with the manager. There's so much to it. It's not just technical ability. So unless you're bringing in a player that is above Podence's technical ability, I don't think that you can just go, oh, we're going to sign someone. We're going to bring in someone like Martins, who's already a replacement, or bring in someone who's low and just hope to God that it works out. At least that's what I think. If we don't sign him and Martins is his replacement, or anyone else their replacement, then I pray to God I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, and that you can replace him.
Well, the thing is, though, that when we won the conference, I was thinking surely that would help us attract some really good players. And well, we did get some really good players, but not the kind of players you would think. Like you'd think, oh, you won the Europa Conference League, we are going to start bringing in some names. I mean, Roman Yaremchuk is a name, for example, but he's not that kind of name that you would think. So I'm still thinking, maybe I'm still stuck in the past, but like a player like Zelson Martins kind of sounds like that is as good as it gets when you're thinking about a replacement for Daniel Podence. Because if Podence doesn't come in, then realistically, what kind of player and from where can we bring? Because also, like, at the end of the day, we do need someone for that position, and we can't just put all our eggs in one basket. So at one point, we're going to need a final answer, like, Danny, are you coming? Yes or no? Hey, Wolves, are you giving us the player? Yes or no? Because like I said, in less than 2 weeks, the season begins. So we're going to want to have the roster done as soon as possible. So if Daniel Podence doesn't come on, do we think we could get a player at least almost as good as him, realistically, before transfer deadline day?
I think it. Look, I don't. Not with that impact, and somebody that knows the team and already knows the system like that. That's going to be like the issue in the end with this, right? So. And that then furthers that argument where you just need to bring him in now, because are you likely to find somebody that is as capable and as already built into the system? No, everything else has more risk. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know who else you would bring, man, because like with Danny and like you look at Veld, you look at Gelson Martins, and then Masuras, don't forget about him. You have a nice mix right, of what you can get on the wing, what kind of skill sets you have offered with Danny, who can go central, very tricky, very low center of gravity, Veld, who can stretch the field for us very nicely, especially when he gets in transition and he has space in front of him, very dangerous. Gelson, who has speed, and as long as he's healthy, offers you something that is also pretty explosive. And then Masuras, who's less flair, less talent in that respect, but can still get you runs behind the defenders. You've got a nice mix of talent, nice mix of abilities. So when you don't bring Podence back, are you going to find somebody that can then fill that and offer that set of that skill set that he's leaving? That's I guess oh geez, don't please, that fraud. I don't even joke about
I
him.
agree fully with Ari. You couldn't have said any better. Like literally what you just said.
Well, I do know someone who could wrap the whole show up. I mean, it's been over an hour, and guys, if you haven't liked and subscribed, I mean, please do so. I mean, there's almost 350 of you right here, and I'm seeing like 40 likes on YouTube. If you could help us out, guys, really appreciate it. We keep growing across social media, so let's do this. Let's help this channel get what it deserves. I think there's no one better to help us wrap this up tonight than none other than my namesake, Kostas Levogiannis, who's had quite the night. And, well, Costa, we discussed a lot of things. The last two friendlies, we discussed Andre Horta and Daniel Podence. So we discussed signings that we probably still need. So wrap us up, buddy.
First of all, never negotiate with a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old and your wife in the middle.
Lord.
That's like our negotiations with Wolves at the moment. I don't know what's tougher.
I think mine are tougher because we all know where the Wolves negotiation is going.
Well, you'd hope.
At least we all hope so, and I'm certainly hopeful that we're going to get that across the line. Yeah, difficult to wrap up such a large discussion. Just maybe a few things that I might contribute to the discussion. Big talk about who the BAM signing is going to be, and something I've been thinking about a lot today, over the last few days even. First thing that comes to mind is, do we even need... wow, I thought Erasmus was coming on. No, sorry, George, you're going to leave that for another time. Maybe we need like a Patreon interview with Erasmus. There's an idea for you.
Can we do a night with Erasmus? Can we do a night with Erasmus like we did with Labro?
Yeah, I'll throw the same questions at him.
Send him the most fucking ridiculous questions we can think of and get him to answer.
What is the most sugars you put in your coffee?
No, more than that.
Only maniacs drink coffee like that.
Anyways.
That's not coffee. That's sugar with coffee. Coffee with sugar.
It's Americans, bro. Like they need like 50 sugars and everything. No offense.
That is not Americans. I don't know anybody else that puts sugar like that, except, well, no, I know one person that puts that much sugar, but that's a different story.
Okay, guys. I put a question to all of you. If we sign Podence and Horta, do we need a BAM signing? And isn't Podence the BAM signing? If you sign Podence for 4 years,
signing?
BAM. Do you need a big BAM, like
a
bomba?
No.
Do you need it
no.
if you sign those two?
No.
Isn't it enough in itself that we're signing somebody back that we sold for close to 20 million euros?
Yep.
We're signing them back, okay, after 4 seasons, I suppose, for whatever price it is, and he's still 28. He's probably going to sign a long-term deal. And I think I was just coming into the show when you were talking about, does Gelson Martins cover for Podence? I think I caught the end of Ari's rationale. They're not the same player. They offer different things in different situations. So I don't see that as a like-for-like thing. I like to think of the situation next year where we'd be able to say that Podence, Gelson Martins, and Velde are our 3 go-to options for any given day. And then you've got players like Masouras that can play the wing as well. I don't know what's going to happen with Papacanelos. Is there going to be? Am I missing somebody? Biel's been playing the wing, but is Biel going to stay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, guys. Like the way I
so-
see things, the way I see things, I'm happy if Horta and Podence come in, and then I have a feeling that the David Carmo situation isn't over. He came on as a sub yesterday in the Super Cup in Portugal, Sporting Lisbon versus Porto. Porto won 4-3 in extra time, and David Carmo came in as a sub after 108 minutes. And this was a player that we were told some weeks ago that he had chats with the manager at Porto, and Porto said, "Oh, we want to keep you because you're going to be a starter." And he's coming on in the 108th minute, and even Fran Navarro is coming on before him, like on the 80th minute. Okay, yeah, I should say he's a striker. They're looking for a goal, but I have a feeling that's possibly not over. And I know we've been hearing a lot about potentially signing a right-footed centre-back, experienced right-footed centre-back. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to Retsos. I know that there's always a risk that he might get injured again, but nah, man. I think Carmo is going to be back on the menu by the end of August. Bold prediction.
Hope you're right.
There's the clip.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Hope you're right. Costa with a C, I've got a big question for you. I mean, the others too, if you guys want it, but I know that Costa probably knows a tiny bit more about this. If Podence were to come back, what's the bigger return? Him or Sasha Vezenkov, the basketball team? What is the bigger return and what makes you happier? What's more important?
Oh, that's hard. That's hard.
I mean, I prioritize football, so for me, the Podence return would be
Okay. Put your what you prioritize to the side. From what you know, what do you think is more important? Because we are talking the way that we're talking right now about Podence is sort of the way that we were talking about Vezenkov in basketball.
right.
Like we are treating him like Jesus, like our Messiah, which I agree with. As I said,
Our
before, he's a
prodigal
barometer.
son.
He
has
is
returned.
needed. He's very, very important to this team, and he's going to be a fantastic signing. Is he going to be our Vezenkov? Is he our Michael Jordan? Is he our Messiah?
Man, the way it was at the end of last season, particularly in the league when we were getting stuck, I think about the Panathinaikos game at the end of the season where we're basically looking to book our place in Europe without having to worry about the cup final. And, he's provided the assist for the Jovetic header, and then he's scored that delightful chip from outside the box. And, that kind of game and overall his performances when he was playing under Mendilibar, it was just a joy to watch him week in, week out. The most consistent I've ever seen him in red and white.
Right.
Is it the same as Vezenkov? I don't think it is. On the one hand, I look at, I'm super happy, obviously, that Sasha's back, but there's this whole predicament in the basketball squad now. It's like, okay, what are you going to do with Petrusev, like one of the biggest talents in the same position in the EuroLeague? Are you going to keep him? Is he going to have enough minutes? What's going to happen to Alec Peters? Can Alec Peters play the three? Can Sasha Vezenkov play the three now that he's been in the NBA for one season and he's put muscle on and his body's changed a bit? Is he going to be able to shoot as well? I don't know. Like there's a lot of questions in the basketball team to a point where it's really not the same in terms of fit, because I think Podence comes back and he's taking a shirt home, and there's really no questions asked. So we just signed Velde, great, but okay, I don't know, man. It's a really good question. Which one am I more happy about? Well, obviously Vezenkov, because Vezenkov's back. Podence, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. But no, that's a hard one to answer. I did my best.
Costa's just given the most diplomatic political answer I've ever heard on this podcast. Like that was so. I was just. There was a point where I was just thinking, okay, gun to your head, motherfucker, pick one, because you've tried to make both of as if they're watching us, and you don't want to offend either of them. But fair enough, I get it. I completely get where you're coming from, and I respect. I respect what you're saying. If I had to pick one, I think Vezenkov's bigger, because with Vezenkov's return means I think we can win the EuroLeague. Podence not coming back will be detrimental, but it's not like we were going to win the Champions League or the Europa League. That's the difference. Why? And as Dimitri K, the guy with the best name in the world, says, why not both? That's what we're hoping for. I'm just saying, if you had to pick one, we're all hoping for both. But yeah.
We're getting into basketball conversation now.
No, I know it's because you came on. It's because you came on, bro. It's because you came on.
Why not?
Do you really think? Okay, since we're having this conversation now, do you really think bringing Sasha back makes us like number one contender, or just like in with a shout? Because you look at the moves that the other teams have made, man, and Panathinaikos is strong. Like Real Madrid's always strong. Fener's got a really like sick looking backcourt. They signed Coulson from Maccabi too. He can play the 3, stretch 4. There's a lot of strong teams, man. Like it's like the EuroLeague's going to be hot as fuck next season.
Without Sasha, we were going to be where we were last season, I think, and qualifying to the Final Four would have been a huge achievement. With Sasha back, I think we are top 3 alongside Real Madrid and unfortunately Panathinaikos, because I think Panathinaikos have got stronger. Barcelona, I don't think yet, because they've made too many big signings, and I can't see how they're going to manage to gel them. But I said that about Panathinaikos last year, and they ended up winning the EuroLeague. So it is what it is. I think we're top 3. I think Vezenkov could win it for us this year by him coming back. That one move.
Do you think he can play the 3?
No, it wouldn't be Sasha. It would be Sasha and Petrushev sharing the 4 and Peters dropping down to the 3 and just physically trying to make it work. It's like shoehorning players out of position, like how you have Guinea fucking playing left back, right back, and all over the shop. How Sven Goran Eriksson Euro 2004 try to have Lampard, Scholes, and Gerrard in the same team. That's literally what we're going to be seeing in the basketball team this year. And if it works, it didn't. But if it works, that's it. No one can stop us offensively. If it doesn't, then there's a problem. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And I trust Bartokas a lot more than any of us and any of the.
Our front line is ridiculous, man. Like at 4 and 5,
it's so sexy. Stacked. It's so sexy, man. It's so good. I can't wait. I've got very big feelings after what ended up very disappointingly last year. Not because we were bad, but just because Panathinaikos was so good. That's why it hurt. Because if they hadn't won it, if they hadn't won the EuroLeague, and if they hadn't beaten us in the way that they beat us in the finals, if they had just won that normally 3-2, but each team winning their home games, then I would have been okay with it. But it's the way that it happened that hurts. But I'm very, very happy with the moves that we've made, and I'm excited. Just like I'm excited with football, I'm just as excited with basketball. And that's very rare that I'm excited about both teams at the start of a season like this. And I think a lot of the fan base are the same as me at the moment. There's a lot of optimism, or at least maybe not some people in the Patreon group, but
most people are optimistic.
I think most people are optimistic, both with the football and the basketball team, that we're going to see big things. And I hope both teams reward that optimism, because I think it's healthy being optimistic and having faith in Olympiacos.
Since we're talking a little bit basketball, I want to give a big shout out to our national team getting to the final 8 in the Olympics. I think it's a huge achievement. It's been, we've been drawn into the most difficult group against the, correct me if I'm wrong, Dimitri was there against Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm the good luck charm.
The group was, we had Spain, who are the reigning European champs.
Yep.
Australia, who finished
third in the last Olympics. Yep.
In the last Olympics, and Canada that finished 3rd in the last World Championship.
Yes, and now we're playing Germany in the quarterfinals, who are the current world champions.
And I remember, Matt, I remember that Germany game. Was it in the last? Was it World Cup that
No,
they
it
beat
was
us?
the Euros. It was the Euros in 2022, and it was the quarterfinals, and they were held in Germany. But no one expected Germany. That was their breakout year. That was the year that they just went, boop, we are now one of the best teams in the world.
I remember that game vividly. Nothing was falling for us, and everything was falling for them. So that's a grudge match on Tuesday against Germany.
Giannis dropping 50.
Mate, I don't care as long as we beat them.
Yeah,
But,
to be fair.
Big shout out also to Thomas Walkup, because there's been one of our players, an Olympiacos player, who picked up Greek nationality. Has been quite controversial.
Played non-stop for 3 years.
Mate,
fucking stop. This
like,
man has not had a rest. He is bionic. And the thing is, do you know what's pissing me off? He's going to have a bad stretch of games at some point in the season, and our fans are going to turn on him, and they're going to say some shit, and they're going to be like, Barzokas, you shouldn't be playing him, this, that. And it pisses me off. It pisses me off because this man hasn't had a rest, and he is playing out of his skin.
I think it's borderline choose the right words here. Just completely the wrong time for somebody like Panagiotis Fasoulas, a personality that was
huge in Olympiacos.
Yeah, not only an Olympiacos player, but a national
in Greek basketball
that won a European championship. I think that was in 1984, before I was born, or the year I was born.
They won in 87.
All right, so 87, the year after I was born, with Panagiotis Giannakis and all of that crew, that he's come out during the Olympics and made a controversial remark about, Walkup's not Greek, his name's not Gallis, and he shouldn't be playing for the national team, and blah, 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 blah. I think, and there was a lot of talk after the second game where his shots weren't dropping, people coming out of the woodwork to beat on him. But his performance in the game against Australia, not just the 3-pointers that he hit, was it 4 out of 6 or 4 out of 8, 50% 3-point shooting, steals, rebounds, assists. Like we know.
He averaged 9 points across the 3 games. Like he averaged 9. Like, I'm sorry, that's not. You don't expect that from a player like Walkup, and he averaged 9 points, like 5 assists, 2 or 3 steals, and like 4 rebounds, something like that. Like I haven't got the box sheet in front of me, but he averaged something incredible. So
the point I wanted to make was we have Luka Vildoza, who for me is it wasn't really a quiet signing, but it's the one that I think is going to be breakout. I think he's going to be so much better than people think. I think people look at it as like, oh yeah, we signed Vildoza, but I'm actually super excited to see him play. Not only the motivation that he has being a former Panathinaikos player, but legit, I think with the bigs that we have and the way that he plays on the pick and roll, it's something that was missing quite a lot from our game last season. And I'm just like imagining him and Moses Wright like rolling off the screen and just like alley-oop dunks, showtime. I'm looking forward to it.
I completely agree, and I'm happier for that we've signed him than signing Dorsey, personally. Between the two, I prefer that signing than Dorsey. Not that I'm saying that I'm not happy with Dorsey signing. I'm very happy, but that's how much I'm happy with Vildoza signing. I just want to say a quick shout out to my namesake, Dimitris K. Thank you very much for your donation, buddy. We really, really appreciate it. All the proceeds that we get goes back into this, trying to improve it for you guys, trying to make it as good and as big as we possibly can to promote the word and get out there and bring you the best content that we can. And yes, we are going to win the Europa League. I'm really sorry for saying that. We're more likely to win the Euro League than we are to win the Europa League. How dare I blaspheme? We're going to win both. And next season, we're going to win both the NBA and the Champions League. That's how much belief I have. We are going to be the first European team to join the NBA and win it. There you go.
Why not? And obviously, we want to thank Timotheos Pandazis for joining our group on Patreon. This group keeps growing. Timothe, welcome to the WhatsApp group. I'm sure you're gonna love it. It's never boring and it never stops. It never ever stops. And we're gonna be bringing you some amazing content. And guys, if you want to join Timotheos, do join us on Patreon, where we're gonna be giving you some exclusive content, and we're gonna be saying all the things we can't say on the show. So it's always exciting, you guys. Always exciting. Costa, I mean, you missed a lot of the show. You've been very busy, obviously doing a great job as well, I'm sure. Any final thoughts about the preseason? Because like we said, only 2 weeks until the season officially begins at Volos.
I can't wait for the season to start. I listened a little bit to what you guys were saying earlier. I think it was channeled by all of you, and I can only share your calmness, which, like, I'm quite relaxed this preseason. Don't forget the Grand Prix, says Zani Saragas. I think, Dimitri, I think that one's for you. I think we're going to win the Grand Prix this season.
That's for you,
well.
Dimitri.
No, man, it's the first time in a long time that we're relaxed. Like, there's no qualifiers. It's over 10 years, isn't it? It feels like that. I might be wrong. When's the last time?
I don't remember it in my
qualifiers?
lifetime. I don't remember in my lifetime not having qualifiers.
2015, 2016, I think. I'm pretty sure it was 2015, 2016
Marcus
the last
Silva.
time.
But where
Yes.
did we automatically go into? What did we even automatically go into that year?
Champions League. Pretty sure it was the champion. We were in the Champions League that
Fucking hell.
season,
Greek
and I think there were no
football.
qualifiers.
Wow. Okay. Sorry. I take it back.
Yeah.
It did
So
happen in my lifetime.
It is almost 10 years, man. I remember, like, I feel like the last time we had, like, calm and tranquility in the summer was back in the days when I was maybe 13, 14, and, like, there was no, like, widespread internet. You'd be getting your news
For
about
the rest of you,
Olympiacos
that's the 1960s. There was no electricity, no technology.
Mate, I would read the news in Fos or like Protathletis or whatever, buy 2 newspapers, go down to the Cafeneo in the morning and buy coffee and buy 2 newspapers, Protathletis and Fos. And you get all your news there. Apestalmeni were going to the preseason camps where Bajevic would be having them running in the forest, and there'd be pictures of Giovanni and Castillo like running in the forest with Luciano a little bit behind them. Like, that's the last kind of memory that I have of, like, a calm and kind of tranquil summer. Then, losing 7-0 to Roma, like some bloody nightmare. I think the first year we signed Giovanni, we lost was it that summer? Like, when we signed them, we played a friendly against Roma, and they'd signed Batistuta and some other Bechdaravis, and they beat us 7-0, and the Vasily were talking about it for eons, even though it was just
I honestly have no memory of this.
I'm too
I
young to
honestly
remember
have
that.
no
bro.
memory of this.
Maybe it's the Juventus game then. But there was a beating that we took from Roma in a preseason friendly.
I have no memory of this, pal.
And
I'm not saying it as an Olympiacos fan. I really have no memory of this.
I need to Google that. There was a Roma friendly, but the Roma friendly yesterday went significantly better than that did.
I would imagine so. I would imagine so.
Yeah. No, I'm super happy the way preseason's gone. I'm super happy for the kids. I don't like calling them kids because football-wise, they're not kids. They're professional football players. It's a 6-1 loss. Thank you, Sean Keenan. Bloody hell, that's one of the most British names I've ever had to read out on Gates Every International.
I feel like he might be Irish. So don't generalize the British.
I didn't say English, but
you said British. Just
UK, or maybe
Not even.
Republic of Ireland. I don't know.
Could be Republic.
Sorry, Sean.
And he knows his history. By the way, Sean. Great stuff, Sean.
Or he's Googled that super quick to try and
just to make himself look good.
Ella. Sean, if you haven't joined us on Patreon,
we need Sean.
Do join us. We need that. We need that sort of knowledge in there.
Fantastic.
We talk too much about coffee with 17 sugars in there, so we could do with a bit of knowledge.
I'm the only Greek that doesn't drink coffee, so we need to change those conversations a little bit because
You need to help me. You need to help me when Ari starts bitching about tea and like how it's muddy water. It's like, shut up, Ari. You don't know what you're talking about.
you're talking about the gods
fair,
nectar.
To be fair, Marcial is the king of the Patreon. So any complaint you have, take it with him. Really,
He's our Lord, our Savior. So yeah, any last remaining thoughts, Costa, and then we'll close up.
No, you guys covered it, man. I'm happy with preseason. I don't know if you guys, maybe one last thing, because okay, you're in UK time, Costa, you're on the same time as me. But here's a question. Don't know if you guys addressed this. So apparently Mendilibar has in mind to pick 3 out of the 5 youngsters. Who are your 3, and who do you think Mendilibar is going to pick?
We did address this.
Oh, did you do that already?
We did, but we're happy to hear your thoughts. I mean, only Ari gave his 3. Mine, I'm only sure of the 2, so my 2 are the same as everyone else's. Everyone's going to say.
I think we all agree with it too.
I think we all agree with the 2, and then the third, I in good faith I can't because I haven't seen enough in preseason to be able to judge. So, but who would be yours, Costa?
I think so. We all agree Mouzakitis and Kostulas are in. Yeah. That's it, man. Like I don't know. Like I've been really impressed with Bakulas yesterday.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah. I thought he was just a really good fit to the way that we play. Impressed with his touch, like one-touch passing, very fast on his feet, in the mind to. It depends. Like there's a lot of bodies in midfield. If Horta comes in as well, like it's hard to say. Apostolopoulos, I think you guys talked about as well. I'm not super comfortable with him being a backup left back. I
consider him already in though. I don't consider him as one of the new ones. I don't consider him as one of the 5.
Me neither. It's between. But the other position is between Bakulas, Koutsidis, and Papacanelos. The big question for me is where do you loan? Like, what happens to those guys? Do they stay in the squad? Do they keep training with the first team? Do you send them out on loan? Do you send them to a Greek team? Do you send them out, preferably to the Netherlands or like to Portugal? Like they need to play. They need to be playing, and I wouldn't like to see, for example, a player like Papacanelos or Bakulas or Koutsidis end up in some, no disrespect, some shitty team in Greece that. Where he's doesn't really have anything.
You name dropped the shitty teams last week, bro. Well, are you scared of name dropping the shitty teams in Greece this week?
But like they need to play in team, like in proper teams with some players around them where they can contribute to something, not just go somewhere for a year and come back and be like, here I am, I'm back. So yeah, no, it's fantastic that that these guys got the opportunity. And I think, Costa, you mentioned it earlier. When's the last time that happened? When's the last time a coach gave opportunity to 5 players from the academy, albeit, these kids fully deserve it after what they did last season? Son,
and we called for it.
Calm down.
No, he means he's better than Luka Modric. And I agree.
Well, guys, I mean, I think this is all the time we've had. We're over an hour and a half in this. Costa, thank you for joining us. And obviously, Dimitri, the same. Aris had to go, and we thank him as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. There's over almost 350 of you that joined us today. We're going to be coming back. On Sunday. I believe we have 2 more big friendlies, one of them against Nottingham Forest in Greece at Karaiskaki, where Costa and I will be trying to, we're hopefully going to be there, both of us. So we're going to be bringing you some content from Karaiskaki. One of our usual vlogs are going to be coming from there, and hopefully some more amazing content. Watch the space over there. And then we have a friendly against Aris Lemesou in Cyprus. That's going to be our final preseason friendly that we know of. And then it's Volos the season is starting, hopefully with Horta and Podence and maybe the last pieces of the puzzle. I mean, Costa, you made a very interesting point about Carmo. I really hope you're right. We're thinking about bringing another center back, so hopefully it would be great if it was Carmo. What a surprise that would be. So, guys, watch this space. We're gonna try and be at Nottingham Forest, and we're gonna be back by next Sunday. So, guys, thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you soon.